How is that? What is that? I'm not sure what their slogan is. I'm thinking of, when I think of United Way, I think of when I give lectures on the 19th century and the rise of these mass, like they think of that, I think what they call it is like the voluntary century, like that these were the very first
Yes.
foundations of these incredible corporate
Yes, like
projects with
the YMCA where I used to work, Easter Seals, and so there are just so many. You can think
Yeah.
about Red Cross, Salvation Army,
Yeah.
rather, Goodwill.
And so what was the mandate of the United Way at the start, and then how did it evolve?
Essentially, it's mobilizing the caring power of community, and that hasn't really changed. And so now, in our second century of service, how we mobilize the caring power of community looks different. You have what we all experienced over the last few years, a pandemic, and how that brought to light systems that were broken, that people couldn't access, whether it was food or medical support, or even having access to the internet because kids were working from home, and or even having the hardware, meaning computers.
Yeah.
And so we saw everything on full display during the pandemic. And then how we, in partnership with other nonprofits and other corporations and government, we worked to figure out how to deliver these necessary services to individuals.
Yeah.
But it doesn't stop there. I mean, I talk about the fact that we're in 37 countries and that the language spoken may be different, the faces may be different, the culture may be different, but basic needs for human survival and thriving are the same. And so how we show up locally may be different depending on the pressing need at that moment.
Yeah.
But in this second century of service, how do we as a system show up in a way that is one, it allows for those who are in need to come up with creating the solutions for what's happening to them,
Yeah.
so that we're not saviors but rather partners. Secondly, how do we tap into technology in a way that allows for one, collecting data real time to share, here are our emerging issues in communities, and what can we do to coalesce around those. And then third, just again, lifting up the voices of those in community to share, hey, this is what's happening to us. This is how we are experiencing life. And then coming up with unique ways, multi-generational ways that resonate for people to feel as if they want to give of their time, talent, and treasure.
Yeah. How do people typically give their time, talent, and treasure? Do they, I imagine people give money. Are there people who are just like United Way volunteers and that's part of their community identity?
It is. So we have about 1.4 million volunteers. What's wonderful,
number.
it is. And we could, and so my husband, I was saying something like, oh, I want to triple that. And I want to do this and do this. And I was throwing out like tripling everything that we do. And he said, where are you coming up with these numbers? I said, I don't know. I'm just dreaming big. Okay. And I'm going to do it. So just leave me alone. Right. This is it. I'm just throwing that stake in the ground. And this is what we're going to do. But what I appreciate about our organization is that we have incredible corporate partnerships. We have about 45,000 corporations that partner with us, and through their employee giving campaigns,
I see.
we're able to not only raise funds out of the generosity of individual employees, but also create opportunities for volunteerism.
I see. And are a lot of the, because I'm one of the things I think we're all worried about is, I'm just saying we right now, both as an American religious historian and as someone who really knows how much, I mean, I couldn't have put most of the structures of my life together and need people who volunteer to kind of like shore my life up and hem me back in. I think we're all a little worried that volunteerism isn't as normal as it was before. I mean, my parents could only afford college because they got a Rotary scholarship. And a lot of these, when we've seen the decline of so many of these forms of associational like belonging that now doesn't feel, I mean, now there are pickleball leagues and we're going to celebrate pickleball, but like it is not the same thing as being part of like a group that regularly meets and then, and then volunteers in mass. So I wonder how you've been thinking about this sort of new need to recruit new people into volunteerism, and then how maybe to encourage people to feel like it could be a part of their life without, because most of the people we're talking about are already, they'd be like, I don't have time or treasure or maybe talent, but they kind of worry that they're too busy and they're not sure how to connect.
Yes, so that's a great question, and what we're seeing with the younger generations.
Yeah.
And are we down to what Gen Z now? What are we at?
We're going to fall off the alphabet at some point.
We start over again.
Yeah, exactly.
But with the younger folks, what causes them to engage is when it's something that resonates and they can actually see how their effort makes a difference. So it has to be tangible in their community.
Yeah. Can you give me an example?
So an example would be, we see a lot of young people that are interested in cleaning a clean environment.
Yeah.
Or you see a lot of young people that are interested in animal welfare, or you see them in particular. I love the examples of the young people that were developing like Facebook groups and other ways where they could help seniors that didn't know how to navigate getting appointments for vaccines. Or you saw the young people that were putting together boxes of food to help at the food banks or just to help in their community. So when I honestly believe that the human spirit is such that we come out of the womb, we have our selfish aspects, but we are really connected to each other and care. And especially like young children, if they see a need, they want to do a lemonade stand or something.
Yeah.
So here's the challenge for nonprofits, for corporations that want to engage their employees in volunteerism. How do you create a mechanism, whether it's an app or a way where a person feels like they can own what it is they want to engage in because it sparks their interest or it aligns with their beliefs and the difference they want to make in the world. So we need to democratize volunteerism and giving differently than, say, the way we used to do it in the 70s, 80s, and the 90s.
Yeah. I'm sure you know Surgeon General Vivek Murthy, who is a delight, just a delight.
Yes.
Has a soothing voice,
Yes.
kind presence,
Yes.
a deep concern about loneliness.
Yes.
I'm sure you're seeing, I mean, this feels like the same conversation
It
with
is.
this social breakdown with the breakdown of this like webs of interdependence.
Yes.
And then you're like, no. no. Come back.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
We were created to be in community and in relationship.
Yeah.
And so even when I always marvel, like if you go to a restaurant and you sit down and you look at everybody, how many people are at a table and they're looking at their phones and not engaging in conversation? You see that around family dining room tables.
Yeah.
We have to continue to work at connectivity, and that even when Dr. Murthy talks about this loneliness, I'm concerned about that.
Yeah.
That's not healthy. That doesn't lead to a healthy system. And systems could be a workplace environment. It could be your church or your synagogue or your mosque. It could be any other system in which we connect with.
Yeah.